The city was gray and wet, with rain falling softly but steadily. People hurried along the sidewalks, holding umbrellas or pulling their coats tight against the cold. Cars splashed through puddles, and the air smelled like wet concrete and rain. A teenage girl walked quickly down the street. She wore a clean jacket and neat clothes, but her face was tense, her steps were quick, her hands clenched in her pockets. It had been a hard day, school was tough, her parents had argued again that morning, and she felt like no one really listened to her. Her mind was full of worries, and her mood was sour. As she turned a corner, her eyes caught a figure sitting on a worn-out bench by the sidewalk. It was a man hunched over, wearing a jacket that was old, dirty, and soaked by the rain. His hair was messy, and his face looked tired. Around him, a few coins lay scattered in a small cup. The girl glanced at him quickly, her heart tight with discomfort. She felt a mix of irritation and sadness, but mostly impatience. She wanted to get past him fast and forget he was there. The rain was cold, and the man seemed stuck in the same spot no matter how much the world moved around him. The girl's frustration grew as she hurried past the man on the bench. His wet, ragged jacket looked even dirtier in the gray light, and something inside her snapped. Without thinking, she stopped for a moment, leaned forward and spat right on the sleeve of his jacket. She didn't wait to see his reaction. Turning sharply, she pushed herself forward and walked faster, eager to put distance between them. But behind her she heard no angry words, no shouting. Instead, the man stayed still, staring down at the spot where the spit had landed. His face was calm but tired, as if he had seen too much pain to be surprised by this. There was a quiet dignity about him, something the girl hadn't noticed before. Even though his clothes were dirty and worn, his posture was straight, and his eyes held a deep sadness mixed with quiet strength. He looked like someone who had carried a heavy weight for a long time. Two people were talking quietly. "Did you know he's a veteran, fought overseas, decorated even?" She slowed down, turning her head just enough to hear more, but they had already gone inside. Her mind raced. How could someone who had served their country end up like this? And what had she just done? Years ago he wore a different uniform, the one of a soldier. He had been proud to serve his country, standing tall in the heat and dust of faraway land. The medals on his chest were not just shiny pieces of metal. They were reminders of courage, sacrifice, and battles fought for people he didn't even know. During his time in the military, he faced dangers most would never imagine. Long nights in the cold, missing family and friends, the constant fear of what might come next. He had seen friends fall, felt pain that no words could describe, but he never gave up. His strength came not just from his training, but from a deep sense of duty, a promise to protect, no matter what. When his service finally ended, the world he returned to was very different. The job he had dreamed of was gone, doors he knocked on stayed closed. The medals didn't help him find work or pay his bills. Slowly life's challenges piled up, medical bills, rent he couldn't afford, and the heartbreak of feeling forgotten. Day by day, the man's life slipped away from what it had once been. The warm home he longed for became a memory, and the streets became his shelter. Still, even in his hardest moments, he kept something inside, an unbroken spirit. Though worn and tired, he showed kindness whenever he could. He shared his little food with others who had less, offered a smile to those who passed by with cold eyes. His voice when he spoke was gentle and patient. To anyone who took the time to listen, there was wisdom and a story of hope beneath his rough exterior. He was a man who had given much to the world, even when the world had turned its back on him. All day long, the image of the man on the bench stayed in the girl's mind. At school, during lunch, even while walking home, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The rain, the cold, the way he had just looked down after she spat on his jacket, it haunted her. At first she felt angry all over again. Why was he there, in that spot, on the street, when she had so many problems of her own? But as the hours passed, that anger twisted into something else. Guilt. What had made her do something so mean? She had barely thought before acting, and now the memory of it made her stomach turn. Confusion mixed with regret. How could she hate someone she barely knew? What did she really know about him? Nothing. Curious, she started asking quietly around her neighborhood. Some people were hesitant to talk, but others whispered stories. "He's a decorated soldier," one woman said softly, served in dangerous places overseas, saved lives. Another man added, he's proud, but life didn't go easy for him after. He lost his job, his home. It's hard to believe from the way he looks now. The girl's heart sank deeper with every word. Later, near the bench where the man sat, she saw something unexpected. The man pulled a small paper bag from beside him, and gently handed some bread and cheese to a younger homeless boy. The boy's eyes lit up, and the man smiled. A real warm smile that didn't match the rough jacket or the tired face. The girl watched quietly, surprised. Here was a man who, even in his own hard life, still cared for others. Her mind raced. Should she go back, apologize, try to understand his story, or keep walking like she had before? That night she lay awake, torn between fear and hope. What if she was wrong about him? What if there was more to learn? The next day, the girl stood near the bench again, her heart pounding. She had thought about the man all night. The guilt, the stories, the kindness she had seen. It all made her feel small and unsure. She didn't know what to say or if he would even want to talk to her, but something inside her said she had to try. Her hands trembled as she slowly walked closer. The man was there, just like before, sitting quietly, looking out at the street. She paused for a moment, then took a deep breath and sat down beside him on the cold, wet bench. "I'm sorry," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I shouldn't have spat on your jacket yesterday. That was wrong." The man looked at her, his eyes gentle but steady. Then he smiled, a warm, understanding smile. "Thank you for saying that," he replied. "I've seen a lot in my life, hurt and kindness. Your words mean something." He told her a little about his past, how he had joined the army to protect his country, the friends he lost, and the hard times that followed when he came home. He spoke without anger, only quiet sadness and pride. The girl listened, feeling a new respect growing inside her. She realized that life was complicated, and people carried stories hidden beneath their faces. They talked for a while longer, sharing simple things: the weather, favorite foods, small hopes for the future. That moment changed everything for the girl. She saw the man not as someone to be ignored or judged, but as a human being deserving of kindness and respect. When she stood to leave, she felt lighter, as if a weight had lifted from her chest, and she knew this was just the beginning of something important. A chance to learn, to grow and to be better. After that day, the girl started visiting the man more often. She didn't know how to fix everything, but she wanted to help in small ways. Sometimes she brought him warm food or a hot drink. Other times she just sat quietly beside him, sharing a smile or a few kind words. With each visit she learned more about him, and about life. She saw how hard things could be, even for people who had once been strong and proud. She realized that not everyone's story was easy or fair. The man's rough jacket no longer made her feel disgust or anger. Instead, it reminded her of his courage and the battles he had faced, both on and off the battlefield. The girl also understood that people often hide pain behind their faces, and that rushing to judge someone by their looks could be a mistake. She began to see the world differently, more gently, more careful. The homeless man wasn't just someone to avoid. He was a person who deserved respect, just like anyone else. Their small friendship grew quietly. The man never asked for much, but the girl saw how much a little kindness could mean. In the end, the girl learned a lesson that stayed with her long after she left the bench. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to be seen for who they really are, beyond the surface. And sometimes the greatest strength is not in what someone has, but in what they give, even when life has taken so much away. So next time you see someone struggling, remember this story. Remember to look deeper, to be kind and to understand before judging, because kindness has the power to change lives, sometimes even your own. The girl's journey began with anger and ended with understanding. She learned that behind every face is a story, sometimes full of pain, sacrifice and quiet strength. The man she once saw only as a homeless stranger was a decorated soldier who had given so much for his country, only to be forgotten by the world he protected. This story is a reminder that poverty doesn't define a person, and that sacrifice often goes unseen. It shows how quickly we can judge others without knowing their struggles, and how powerful it is to choose kindness instead. No matter who we meet, everyone deserves respect and compassion. Sometimes all it takes is a little understanding to change a life, and to heal parts of our own hearts too. So the next time you see someone in need, remember this story. Choose empathy, Choose kindness. It might just be the most important thing you do.